Hi, for this discussion board, I'm going to try to explain what SD and S delta means in my own words. I am really bad at explaining. Somehow my words it just doesn't come out right. This is like my 10th time trying to record this video. It was a little hard for me to understand what it meant, but once I watched the lecture video and I heard the examples that the professor used, it made much sense. But at first I felt like that one episode, when it says, why don't you explain it like I'm 5 years old? Please tell me you get that reference. Michael. But anyway, so SD means the discriminative stimulus. The definition is the cue that the behavior will be followed by a reinforcer, and the professor used the example as putting money into a vending machine and then getting what you paid for as a reward. So the money being the behavior, and then the reinforcer, meaning getting drinks or chips or candy, as being as the reward. So basically that's so the same thing as if you've been wanting a pair of shoes, you go to the store, your behavior is giving them your credit card or your cash, and then your reinforcer is getting that pair of shoes or purse or whatever it might be, right, as your reward. And then the S delta means basically the opposite of that. So like the example that the professor used, that when you see the vending machine with the out of order sign, not to put your money there, because even if you put money, you're not gonna get the candy or the chips that you'll be wanting, because it doesn't work. Same thing pretty much, like if your car doesn't have gas, you can't drive it unless you have gone to the gas station first to have gotten gas, so you could continue going. Using SD and S delta in my behavior project, I believe I will use it. The SD for sure, I will do it as how I had mentioned before, that I'm planning doing meal preps every Sunday. On Saturdays, we usually go, and with my parents and I usually go and buy groceries, right? So making a list before I leave with all the ingredients, and then on Sunday, sitting down and seeing the ingredients that I have at home, or if I had already mined what I want to cook, I could just list it and say, for Monday I'm gonna cook pasta, and then on Tuesday I'm gonna make some quesadillas, and then Wednesday, so on, and that's what I'm planning on doing. I do it a little different. I don't actually cook for the whole week. I usually just write down what I'm planning on doing for the week, and then having all the ingredients ready. So if I'm making pasta and chicken, I make sure for Monday, I make sure that on Monday before I leave, I defrost the chicken, so then whenever I get home, the chicken is already defrosted, and then I can start with all that. But basically, having a list of what I want to cook, and doing that will give me the reward or the reinforcer of the morning of when I go to work. I will wake up, and then since on Sunday I already cooked my pasta or whatever, and I have already put it in my containers, on Monday morning when I wake up, I can be able to sleep in a little bit longer, and instead of like I mentioned before, rushing and like trying to get ready, eating my breakfast in a hurry, I will take more of my time, and then I'll just grab everything from the fridge and put it in my little lunch bag, and be able to go. So basically my reward would be that my reinforcer will be that in the mornings I won't be struggling to try to cook something really fast, or you know, rushing, and it's not good. It's not very good. And then my else del type, which means basically if I don't do my meal prep the night before, if I don't actually cook the night before, or grab my Tupperware and put all the food in my containers, cut my fruits that I want to take, or the yogurt the overnight oats or whatever that I want to eat in the morning, or take with me my little snacks, I will have a really rushed morning, or I will just automatically decide not to, not even try to get in, cook for anything. And I would just say, you know what, during my lunch hour, I would just go and grab some McDonald's, or I would just go grab some food, because I just didn't have time. But it was because the night before I just didn't have motivation. The other thing that I'm going to try to explain in my own words: establish operation, EO, and abolishing operation, AO. Establishing operation means when you having a really powerful reinforcer, very like an increased in reinforcement. And the professor used that example of whenever you have not eaten all day, so then obviously food becomes a reinforcement that is very strong, because you need food in your system. And so basically is whenever, it goes the same way as if you have exercised and you haven't drank any water. Now you're very thirsty, so you need to hydrate, right? Yeah. And then abolishing operation is a decrease in reinforcement. So once you finish your big meal, you're no longer hungry, so food is no longer your reinforcer. Same thing, pretty much as it's the same as if you see my mind just went blank, I'm sorry. But I would definitely use establishing and abolishing operations in my behavioral project. In the same way, if I'm able to cook the night before, or have everything ready the night before, so then in the morning I will feel more, wake up more refreshed, and I'll have one less thing to worry about, and I will no longer need to be rushing and trying to make my food. And then my mornings would just flow easy, and which also lead to me saving more money financially. Will help me a lot to stop eating out and actually prepping my food the night before and taking food from home. Yeah. Okay.